Today we're going to be looking at the 4th generation of Bridge Operator Console, which is part of the Bridge Cloud Suite. The main difference is we've left the Windows desktop only experience and moved into a modern browser experience. So what this means is you can now run Bridge Operator Console or any of the Cloud Suite components in any web browser you like. There's no need for a desktop installation and updates and all the typical things that have always been part of the Windows desktop process. So once a user logs in to their Bridge Operator Console, they'll see this splash screen, which has some things on it about the license, as well as a quick demo showing them how to use the basic functions of the software. So once they close that, the Bridge Operator Console main screen is visible. So let's take a quick tour of some of the components of the user experience. Similar to our desktop model, we have a heads-up display in the top left-hand corner that's going to show us things like the device we're controlling, whether it be a Cisco IP phone, Jabber device, what have you. The user's name, line state will be here. The stoplight next to it, depending on how the software is configured, will allow the users to either view visibility of finesse information or hunt group information, as well as log in or out of those two modes of operation with these buttons here. Audio conversations or phone calls will be listed here in the audio conversations pane. Much like traditional Bridge Operator Console, you can select between different calls if you have more than one call, and the selected conversation will be listed below. This is the conversation the buttons will be applicable to. So if you click hold, that's the call that will be held, and so on. Rounding out the left pane are two graphs, calls by hour and call minutes by hour. These are just running totals that are visible for some information for the operator. In the center pane, we find the company directory with users sorted alphabetically. We've combined the status information from the phone and either IMP clients like Jabber, Skype for Business, all into one unified presence. So the operators can see without having to check multiple status indicators, the availability of the user. Below the company directory pane, we have a search box. You can see there are some keyboard shortcuts that work, as well as the mouse for searching. And one thing you're going to notice if you're coming from the Windows desktop version is the browser version is considerably faster for doing lookups and things like that. So kind of prepare yourself before you start using it. It will be noticeable. So next to the search box, there's also a search button if you want to trigger it with a mouse click rather than pressing enter on the keyboard. The home button will return you to your default group, which I'll show you how to set in just a second. There's a predictive transfer button that can manually toggle our machine learning algorithm that uses artificial intelligence to list the most likely destinations for an incoming call. You can also have it do it automatically, which is the default. But if you've turned that off and you want to use it manually, this is where you do that. The group messaging and paging button, if you have one of the SKUs that offers that feature, will expose all of those functions where you can see the different groups. You can send them text messages to their phones. You can voice page them. All that stuff is available here. To the right, we have a dial box. So you can manually enter a number in here, and you can either call that number, transfer the selected call to that number, or do a consult transfer to that number. So that's all available here as well. The bottom of the center pane contains the parking lot. This will show you information about all the calls that are parked on the system. That'll be visible here. And we'll go into detail about how we park calls, how we retrieve calls, all that stuff in just a bit. The right-hand pane has two items in it. The first one is groups. So there are three types of groups. Similar to the Bridge Operator Console desktop version, there are groups that are global groups that are system created. You cannot delete these. You can hide them from view, but they will be visible by default. There are global groups that are created by users. So if users want to share a group, that can be done as well. And there are local groups that are created by you and only visible to you. They're all sort of indicated by the different sorts of icons here. To change a group, you simply just click on the group and you'll see the users will switch. Working with groups, you can add a new group. You can edit an existing group if it's one that's either global user or local. You cannot edit the global system ones. Those will come from the server. You can delete a group. Same rules apply if it's global user or local user. Any group you can hide. So if you want to hide a group, maybe there's a global group that you don't need to see, you can click this button and you'll hide it. You can reverse that process in the settings, and I'll show you that in a bit. And then here is where we set our default group. So this means the group that when we click the home button or when we launch the program, what group of users are we going to see? So this would be a good place to put, 15 to 20 users that you most commonly deal with that you need to see the status of. And finally, there's a way to refresh the groups if you think someone may have added some global user groups or something like that you don't see. Click that and it'll just refresh the groups quickly. Okay, so below the groups we have a call history pane. This will show the last 10 calls that you've interacted with. You can scroll up and down to see those. And if you want to open one to say return a call, maybe you need to call this one back, you just click on it. And then you can use this pane to call that number back. It'll show some details about the call as well. So every one of these grid items has a plus and a minus next to it. So this lets you sort of configure the screen the way you want to see it. So if you want less call history, more groups, you can manipulate that. If you want a smaller company directory, you see as I click the minus button, the screen toggling around. So if I were to click this, this would then fill in the empty space. Now on first launch, the bridge operator console is going to attempt to use all of the available screen real estate in the most efficient way. So if you happen to launch the browser and it's not maximized or something like that, and you have a lot of empty space, a quick, easy tip on how to make that fill out is just hit the auto size screen grids, and you see how that fills it back the way it was initially. So it's making the most of your screen real estate for you. So that's sort of the screen layout and how those things work. There's a number of different menus as well, and we'll kind of go through those in a little bit. Let's look at some of the information that we'll see here. So unlike the desktop version, there really isn't a right-click menu with a bunch of options. Instead, what we've done is we've combined all of the user information into a pop-out pane that's visible like this. So when I click on a user, it's going to pop them out, and I'm going to see a whole bunch of information. I'm going to have things like their name, a way to look up more information about them. This is particularly useful if we have Office 365 in place because it can look up some of those attributes as well. There's a function here where I can add and edit personal and shared notes. I can find users who have the same title as this user. It'll basically return me back to my company directory with a match of all of those users. I can find users that are in the same department as this user, and it'll do the same thing. And then I can find users that have both the same title and same department. So that can be useful if I'm trying to find someone to handle a call that would have a similar skill set to the person that I initially looked for, if they happen to be away or out of the office, something like that. So what other information is available here? Well, you'll see these are a number of different panes that you can expand to look at. The top one is user information. So that'll show basic things like if there's a presence status from Skype for Business or Cisco Jabber, that would show here. In addition to the icon, you'll be able to see the company and office the user is located in. There's a call control section which has things like transfer a call, consult transfer, transfer to their mobile, transfer to their voicemail, add them to a call, so create a conference basically between the participants. And there's the Park For functionality, which will park a call, but it'll also send an alert to the user about that call being parked for them. There's contact information as well. So if I wanted to call the user, chat with the user, call their mobile, send them an email, call their work phone, if it's different than their regular extension, I can do all of those things here. For phone messaging and paging, if the user's got that enabled, we can send a message right to their phone. We can also start voice paging their phone and stop once it's started. Just give you a quick look at that. And basically that's all you have to do to toggle the voice paging there. We're also going to be able to see the user schedule. So in this case, we're looking at a day view of the user to see if they are available right now. We can see they're busy. If we hover over it, we'll see a little bit more information. We can also view that in a pop-out window, which can be nice if we want to look at an entire week or something like that. So let's just click that and click week. Now we can see the entire week view, or if we want to take the Saturdays and Sundays out and just do the work week, we can see that as well. You can toggle days. See what their schedule looks like tomorrow. It's exactly the same, but that's there under the user schedule. And finally, related people are here. So if for some reason I want to transfer a call to this person but they're not available, I can find their manager. Basically, I can switch the user view pane here and be looking at this user if I want, and chat with them, call them, transfer to them, add them to the call. All those things are available for manager and direct reports, everyone who reports to this user. So we can find all those people quick and easy right here in the user pane. So this is where we're going to do most of our work with the users as far as transferring calls and things like that. But we've really worked hard to incorporate all the user information in one place, and you can, view as much or as little of it as you want by collapsing each of these panes. So it's really up to you as to how your experience will look. If you want a lot of information, you can have that, or you can have it just pop out as needed, as we've shown here. So completely up to the user. So let's handle some calls and see how this all works. So by default, we've got a call notification enabled, which will play a little sound and pop up a window. So once we click it, you'll see our predictive transfer has already jumped into work and used the artificial intelligence to show us, hey, these are the 3 people that this call is most likely for. So let's transfer it to Susan Larson. So all we do is click on Susan, click this, and we've actually blind transferred that call to Susan Larson. So if we scroll down, we can see she's already taken it. She's in a call. Pretty simple. The same applies for consult transfers. There's just an extra step. So if we take a call, again, we want to send it to Susan Larson, we can just do the consult transfer. So it's going to make the second call to Susan. Once she answers and we're talking to her, we can decide if that call is going to go through or if we need to pull back and do something with it. In this case, we'll just send it through. So we click it, just like that, she's on that call. Super fast, super easy. Call parking works very much the same. So if we park a call just generally using the buttons here, and you'll see these change as the call state changes. So let's put a call on hold. Now you see it's on hold. And the resume is active. So we can click that, so on and so forth. We can park a call just generally, not for anyone in particular, by clicking the park button. So you see this call goes in the parking lot, the caller information. It's not really parked for anybody. And we can see when it's going to ring back to us. So if I want to take a call out of the parking lot, all I do is click this green thing that says pickup. So if I click it, I've got that call. Simple and easy. Now, if I want to park the call for someone in particular, let's say Susan Larson, I do this. And now the view is changed. Now, in addition to that, if we flip over to Susan's screen, you can see Susan's IP communicator has got this display message about the park call. All she has to do is lift her handset, and she's got that call. So call parking in a nutshell, pretty simple. Again, you can exclude items from view, both users and call park positions if they're not relevant to, say, your location. And all those things you would manage here in the excluded objects. So you see I've excluded a number of extensions that were like system ones or ones that I didn't need to see. And I've also excluded one group from view. I can paste a CSV formatted string full of different numbers if I want to exclude things quickly and easily. All available here. And if I remove something from exclusion, it'll become visible again. So easy to customize what you see for the user experience. So let's talk about groups and searching. So groups, we already kind of showed how you can make a new one. Editing them is similar. So if I click edit, if I wanted to remove this guy from this group, I can do that. I can search for other people If I wanted to search for, say, all the Dougs listed here, add users, I can do that as well. So I can manage groups easily, and I can also search easily too. And I can search for things that are outside the user realm. I mean, I can look for Susan's. When I'm done, I can hit escape to go back. I can search for sales. You see how fast the search is. Like lightning fast, get information, and I can find, people that fill that particular department, title, all that stuff. A simple escape or home gets me right back to my default group. Managing multiple calls is something that's pretty easy to do in the new Bridge Operator console. We apply a little bit of intelligence to it. So when a second call would come in, if I choose to answer that, it's going to automatically select that second call, the one we're talking to. So I can do things with it. If I wanted to transfer it, I can go ahead and do that. And then I'm back to my first call. So I just resume it. If I want to park that for somebody, I can do that too. Maybe that person's not picking up and I need to take that call back. Again, it's just a click to take it out of the parking lot. So very easy to use. If I do get a call parked for me, I'll show you that. So there's a little bit of extra notification that'll happen in that case. So let's say, for example, Susan Larson parks a call for me. So what am I going to see on my screen? I'm going to get a little sound notification, a pop that says, hey, a call has been parked for you and who it is. So I can look here and I can see, oh, that one's for me. Same process. Just click that and I've got it. Easy to do. All right, so that sort of covers the people that are in our organization and how we transfer calls to them. So like our desktop version, we've also included the function that users are familiar with our My Address Book and our Global Address Book. So where are those? Well, they're under the People menu. So under the People menu, My Address Book is here. So these are personal address users that are relevant to me that I've created. I can make groups of them, all that good stuff. As I toggle them, you'll see the changes. I can call those users. I can transfer calls to those users. I can email them. To call them, I would just click here. Anytime you don't know what a thing means, just hover over it. It'll show you. So I can edit users. I can delete users. The normal things you'd expect. So if I edit, I'm going to be able to do those things here and go back out. So the global address book is almost the same thing. It's just visible to everybody. So changes made will show sort of for all the users. And the same rules apply where I need to have permission on the server to be able to add and edit things in here. So the system admin can sort of decide those things. But you'll see, again, I can search for people. I can look at a particular group like I am. If I toggle it, I'm going to see a bunch of numbers. So I can call, transfer, consult to these numbers. I can send emails to email addresses that are available. All those things are available just like they were on the desktop version, just tucked away a little bit out of the way in case you don't need it all the time. So some other things under the people are location objects, which are, again, a great place to set things like hunt groups, call queues, things like that you might need to transfer a call to that's not a person. We've included some filtering too. So if you want to filter by type, you can do that sort of stuff as well if you have a lot of location objects. But again, transfer and consult to those things are available, as well as calling them. Some of the other things available in people, if you're using Office 365, we can show your Outlook contacts. You'll be able to click, do all those things with them. If you're not using them, don't worry. If you have our Exchange connector, they'll show up in your My Address Book. So, and we can also interact with Microsoft Teams, show users on groups there. So if you find a project that a call is pertaining to, you can look at people that would be on that team and transfer calls to them. If you're using our HL7 medical connector, you can look at patient information here, see which patients in which room, privacy flags. You can see when they were last updated, who their primary physician or primary care technician would be. And again, full transfer, call, chat, all those things are available. The nice clean interface. So we have a tools menu. There's a few things we can do in here. You can redial the last number you called. You can open up the DTMF keypad. That's also available here. So if you're on a call and you need to press some keys, you can do that here or in the menu, either one. You can call your voicemail, so you can listen to your voicemails, things like that. You can also open the group messaging and paging here. And then you can see some utilities that would be available for different sorts of configurations. And that also you can access in the stoplight function as well. So let's do that. Let's bring a call into Cisco Finesse and just look at what that is going to look like for us. So once we answer this call, let's say we throw it on hold quick. If we click here, we can see the call details from Finesse. So we can see where it came in, what queue it's part of. We can see all this other information. We can see we're the only one who's in our team right now, and we're in talking state. If we had other users, we'd show them in the queue as well. So if you can take a break when there's so many folks available, that's all here. If I wanted to record this call, I can do that. If I want to say change the wrap-up reason when the call's done, say, okay, it was a wrong number, I can apply that. That'll get sent off to Finesse. So when I hang up the call, you see I'm honoring the default wrap-up time that's available. If I'm ready sooner than that, I can just click ready, and that'll set me to ready. You'll see a change, so I can take another call. So you really have control over the Finesse client without having to have a second window open in it. And you can sign in and out of it here as well. So all that is available. There are some basic reporting functions that are available to users. You can see how many calls you've answered today. 34 answered, 11 not answered. Things like that. So if I want to look at call minutes this week, I can look at just simple graphs that show things like that. If I want to look at my call history today, in more of a grid form, I can scroll down and see, okay, well, there's the call I just took. Looks like I did a hold and a hang up on it. So I probably pulled that out of the parking lot, so I didn't actually do an answer. So those are all available there. I can see some other things like the actions I performed today, 30 answers, 17 transfers, those sorts of things, just for sort of some fun things for the operator. There's a whole level of reporting that's available for supervisors in another application we'll discuss in another video, but this is just kind of giving you an idea of the basic things that are available in the Bridge Operator Console. And finally, the help menu's got things like that splash screen that we want to see. If we want to see it again, we can show it here. There's a bot you can ask basic questions to, like, hey, how do I transfer a call? The bot will actually show you how to do that. You can look up icon key help if you're wondering, what in the world do these pictures mean? This will show you basically all the pictures that the system uses and what they mean. And then there's some other things. You can, if there's a feature you want or feedback about something that's not working, let us know. It's a great way to talk directly to our developers. That's available here. You can also open a trouble ticket or schedule remote support with a Bridge OC engineer, as well as send an email. So those things are there. When you're done, you can sign out of the application, or if you need to move to another desk, that'll free up your license to be used on another desktop or tablet or what have you. Also, the application, if there's 60 minutes of inactivity, like you haven't touched the mouse or keyboard in 60 minutes, it'll sign you out automatically for security reasons. So that's available. And you can also jump to different pages. You won't see the demo dialing menu. That's only available internally for us for these demo purposes. So with that said, thank you very much for watching this demo of Bridge Operator Console Generation 4. For more information, you can visit our website at any time. It's just bridgeoc.com. And you can also engage our sales team at the email below, sales@bridgeoc.com, or give us a call on the phone. We're happy to help. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.